we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. It's Tuesday, and we're another day closer to Trump retaking Washington, and the rats in D.C. are scared.
Yeah, and well, I mean, the world is just falling apart before our eyes right now, all orchestrated, obviously. They're doing everything they can to get us into World War III and to create as much global chaos as possible before President Trump takes office. We're obviously going to cover a lot of that in the show. As always, guys, like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate you guys for hanging out. And if you're watching live, please hop in the chats, and we'll try to give you a shout-out just like this. We want to go ahead and give a shout-out to Peggy and Jason over there in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, and we'll start off with some good news. Maybe not all hope is lost in New York. Daniel Penny, found not guilty, gets death threats from BLM founder. And that's not, and he's not the only one. Yeah, BLM tried to, they held a little, well, it didn't get turned into a riot, but they did get a few hundred people to show up and protest last night. There's some stuff circulating, floating around on the internet that maybe Friday they're going to have a bigger protest out there, but I also haven't been able to track down and confirm any of that. And with the small crowd they drew last night, they may be too embarrassed to show up Friday.
Well, it's because Soros hadn't paid all of them just yet. They're waiting for the money to clear from George Soros before they start the actual real riots. Look, at the end of the day, BLM is a domestic terrorist organization. It's way past time to properly label them as such, shut them down, prosecute these people, and end this terrorism that they are trying to spread across our country. You know, at the end of the day, what they are saying and calling for violence is literally conspiracy to commit crimes in this country. They're out here doing it in front of everyone. They need to be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah, this wouldn't be tolerated if it was any other group or any other, well, I guess I shouldn't say any other group, but they seem to tolerate the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party pretty well. But yeah, if there were people on the right showing up, they would immediately say this was it was a Klan rally. It wasn't a protest, blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't matter what we're protesting. It would obviously actually be due to, white supremacy.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got some good comments over here in the chats as well. Nunya says, looks like in the Twitter chats, looks like we need to reactivate Kyle Rittenhouse, and I approve that message. Number one enemy of the useless. We need to start imposing morals. And then Carissa says MAGA. So appreciate you guys, and it's exactly right. I mean, first of all, we all knew that Penny was innocent, but I had very little hope in a New York jury, especially whenever they, the drawings, the illustrations came out, and you had a couple jurors, at least one anyways, it was double masked in there. I was like, well, I know where who the hung juror is at the very least on that. And then the judge kind of went back on their word and was trying to basically guide the jury into coming back with some sort of conviction, because they threw out the one and said, well, you can do it on this now. And so he was trying to get them to come up with some sort of conviction. and then obviously they did not. And now you got BLM, who's, not just in New York, they're calling for violence all across the country, because at the end of the day, the only way to get justice is to go rob Foot Locker and get your Jordans and go steal TVs from Walmart. That's the only way to get real justice in this country.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and you're right too. Like, it wasn't just the judge; it was this corrupt prosecutor too. In this case, that when it became clear she wasn't going to get the murder conviction that she wanted originally, she changed the charges over, or tried to. They used a precedent from the Supreme Court from the 1800s to change the charges midstream and try to move down to a lesser charge. And again, this is pure corruption, and it's undermining the will of the people, the will of the jury, whatever, in order to get the scalp that they want. But yeah, you're right. We got to reactivate Kyle Rittenhouse, deploy him out. Let's get rid of the FBI and just deploy Kyle Rittenhouse out when there's problems like that. He'll keep things under control. There's more to this story, though. Breaking: Jordan Neely's father says system is rigged. BLM leader calls for black vigilante action as protests erupt after Daniel Penny not guilty verdict. And I kind of want to highlight something else here. There were two men that helped Penny, and again, they're heroes. They should not have been charged. Penny shouldn't have been charged either, though. But the other two were both minorities. I believe one of them was black, one of them was Hispanic, that helped him restrain this guy. But why is it Penny faces charges and the other two don't? And actually, let's go and pull up one other story here. Because I want to remind you guys of something too. And again, I'm not saying that Jordan Williams should have been charged, but he was the guy that also defended himself in the subway, used a knife, stabbed the guy. This is the picture from where he was arrested. And he wasn't charged with anything, including criminal possession. Having the knife on the subway would have been illegal. Again, I think that's wrong, that they shouldn't be able to restrict people like that and restrict their self-defense. But this really illustrates a larger point, that the DA in New York is Alvin Bragg, Letitia James. They're completely corrupt, and they're charging people for crimes based on their race. Again, this is completely backwards. It is institutional racism, but it's the kind of institutional racism the left likes right now. Right now, that's the target of their aggression.
Yeah, so I mean, to clear it up, I mean, obviously, and you said it, Jordan Williams is a hero as well. He did nothing wrong, but the difference is, I mean, he actually stabbed somebody, and they didn't bring charge. I mean, they didn't prosecute that guy, but Jordan Neely put somebody Daniel Penny puts him in a chokehold, and they're coming after him. Look, here's the thing: Jordan Neely was a thug. He wasn't worth his weight in salt. He was a thug. This world is a better place without that bum here any longer. And I don't care who that makes mad. In terms of Jordan Neely's father, if he wants to know who's at fault for this, he needs to look in the mirror, because guess what? You are a crappy father who raised a crappy human being. You raised a thug who didn't know how to act around other people. Probably wasn't even in his life most of the time, from what I've read. He wasn't even around, and now he wants to be around when this happens to him. So Jordan Neely's father out here trying to blame race and all this stuff. If he wants to know who's at fault for raising a thug criminal who got what was coming to him, he needs to look in the mirror and hold himself accountable for either the way he raised Jordan Neely or the lack of raising that he provided Jordan Neely to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. This guy had been arrested dozens of times prior to this for threatening people. He had mental health issues. He was on multiple drugs, including some kind of synthetic marijuana at the time of his death. This guy was a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. And unfortunately, if you start threatening people, especially in a closed environment where they're trapped, like in a subway car, expect a physical response. If you're saying you're going to kill people, that you don't care if you go to jail, well, yeah, this is what's going to happen. Hopefully, is some brave person will stand up, protect everybody else on that subway. And again, we have a right to self-defense and the protection of others around us. If you're able to stop somebody from harming another person, normally that would have been protected and defended. That this guy would be getting a pat on the back, a certificate from the police, a key to the city, something like that, because we want to inspire more of this behavior. Police can't be everywhere all the time. Sometimes brave individuals need to step up to prevent harm to others, prevent crimes, and to protect the city they live in. And if more people did this, we wouldn't have that problem.
Absolutely, man. You're 100% correct. Really quick, we'll give shout outs in the Twitter chat to Matt Zoe, Mark, Mike, Pentecost, and Victoria Spillman over here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us and watching. Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat brought up a good point, ties into what you just said there, Mike. Shout out to Dan Dreyer. Says that next up for Daniel Penny is a congressional gold medal. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but Eli Crane is planning to award Daniel Penny with a congressional gold medal of heroism, so for being a hero. So goes to exactly what you're talking about. In normal circumstances, he would be receiving, praise for being brave. Because what people need to remember is Daniel Penny was not attacked. He saw someone else in danger, and he stepped in to help someone who was helpless. That is exactly what you would consider someone to be a hero in doing so. He's a military veteran. He has that, the training. He has that instinct. He stepped in to help someone. And how many times have we all saw someone getting beat up or getting attacked or whatever, and you see the video on social media, and you're like, why are these people standing around filming? They're not doing anything. Well, Daniel Penny didn't do that. He could have jerked out his cell phone, got some views on it, some clicks, some follows, and went about his way, and none of this would have ever happened to him. But he did what every man especially is supposed to do, which is to step in and protect those around you and the people that you love and everything. And he did that, and he's been taken through the ringer for it. Also, on that same note, Governor Ron DeSantis came out and publicly invited Daniel Penny to get out of New York City and move to the state of Florida. And look, Daniel Penny, where he needs to move somewhere. I don't care where it is. He needs to get out of New York City, that's for sure, because they will be coming for this man everywhere he goes, and he needs to get out of there while he still has a chance.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, get back to a sane state. But yeah, and unfortunately, Neely's father is already promising to sue him in civil court and go after him financially. Basically wants to just ruin him. And it's unfortunate that that's allowed. And I understand sometimes there is a reason where you can't convict somebody criminally. They are guilty of whatever it is, due to extenuating circumstances or whatever. So I mean, there is a need occasionally for people to go after a perpetrator through civil court, but this isn't one of them. But again, the idea isn't, the process is the punishment. It isn't about justice. It's about punishing Daniel Penny for having the gall to stand up to one of the thugs that the corrupt mayor and corrupt policies in New York allowed back onto the streets that should have already been in jail. Yeah,
Daniel Penny for Congress, Kyle Rittenhouse for Senate. That would be awesome. Let's go and make some changes in this country.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunately not the only murder in New York that's on the news on the radar right now. So Luigi Mangione charged with the murder of United Healthcare CEO. And, apparently, I guess he's going to be charged this morning. He was already arraigned for some weapon charges in Pennsylvania yesterday. And then he's going to be charged with murder today. But apparently this is a guy who's 26 years old. He had a 2-page manifesto, they're saying, in his backpack. But there's a number of things with this which are really unusual. And I don't know. I've got some questions. I'll leave it there at that for now.
Yeah, I mean, look, the conspiracy theories are running wild with this, and as they should be right now, because we know we can't trust these people and get the truth. So I think there's two different paths here to look at in terms of the conspiracy theories early on. I mean, all this information's, relatively new, 24 hours old. So I think you have one path of that's not actually Louis Mangione who did this, or at least was in the pictures of what they provided, and it's someone else. And a lot of the stuff was planted there. And we can talk about that in a second. I think there's another side who is like, okay, if it was him or it was him, then is this a MK Ultra sort of thing from them? I don't want to say brainwashing, but grooming him to be down this path, because this kid was very intelligent kid, whole life in front of him. Why would he go and do this otherwise? So you almost have to wonder if he did do it. In fact, if he did, was this some sort of mental stuff, like MK Ultra training from the FBI, CIA, who drove him to do this? But we were talking earlier, and you kind of mentioned it. I think it is crazy to say that if he did that, he's an intelligent person, that he would be 5 days later wearing the same exact clothes that he had on. He has the murder weapon, allegedly has a murder weapon on him. He allegedly has a manifesto in his pocket. All of this just chilling at McDonald's, randomly hanging out at McDonald's with all this stuff on him. Then here's something key. I forgot to tell you this earlier off air, Mike. They said he had $8,000 in U.S. cash on him, and then $2,000 in foreign currency on him. Now, in the when they arraigned him, he told the judge, this is a direct quote, you can look this up. He said on the record, "That is not mine. I don't know how it got there. It must have been planted there." Now, obviously, he could just say that for whatever reason, but I feel like if somebody was going to do that, they're going to have a manifesto, all these things. You'd almost think that they would be proud of their work if they truly wrote a manifesto about it. And he's saying that this was not his money and it was planted there.
Is he only disputing the money? Because that's even stranger. That it was my gun, my suppressor. These are my clothes, but that money, that wasn't mine. I mean, that's the least of his worries. But maybe that. See, I just don't know, because like the story that was circulating yesterday was he had recently turned 26, got thrown off his parents' insurance. Apparently, he has some sort of a medical condition involving his back that leads to like lots of pinched nerves, yada yada yada. And I know back pain is really terrible to deal with. It's I think something I've been very fortunate not to have to deal with, but I've seen the effects on people. I used to work with a guy that played in the NFL for a couple of years, and he had all kinds of back and knee problems from that and from playing football in college. And when he would have problems, like it was just crippling, like he could barely function. So they're saying like that what led to this was he like went on a trip with some friends fairly recently within the last year. Had some sort of an accident there at the beach, and then was basically like down for the count for a week. And then that's what led to this shift in his mental state, and that he's been acting like strange ever since then. And again, this is basically speculative at this point, because I guess a normal person, that wouldn't be a reason to like rise up and then murder another human being, a CEO of a United Healthcare, who directly has nothing to do with Luigi's problems.
No, I agree 100%. And, we got the number one enemy in the Twitter chat says the justice system is hanging on a pedestal of lies. And then Thaddeus, appreciate you hanging out with us all the time. Thaddeus says someone turned this kid. And even if he did go do it, like you said, I mean, who sits around, especially an intelligent person, even if they are in that situation, is like, I bet if I tell you the CEO that I'm going to get my health insurance, like who would think that was going to solve his issue and the problems that he was having. I mean, I would imagine that the shareholders that going to that meeting where they were meeting probably just stepped right over the CEO and went on in there and wanted to get their reports as to how much money they had made. They probably didn't even stop at the door on the way in. They probably just stepped over the guy's body and went on about their day, and he'd be replaced tomorrow. I mean, and you'd think that someone who was a Ivy League person, mentally, a valedictorian of their high school and everything, that they would have the mental awareness to know that doing this is really just throwing your life away. It's not going to help anything. And he had to been radicalized in some way or another, I feel like. And I think there's a lot more to this story.
Yeah, no, he was definitely radicalized in a number of different ways. He seemed to be a very devout leftist, even though they're trying to say, he likes something that Tucker Carlson said about architecture, so he's right wing. Well, I mean, you can like disagree with somebody on 95% of what they say, and then hey, when they make a comment about brutalist architecture being demoralizing, you could still agree with them there. But anyway, our favorite crybaby, Taylor Lorenz, been in the news all over here too, says, we want these executives dead hours after health insurance CEO murdered. Well, she was on last night with, oh man, I just blanked out in this guy's name. Anyway, Taylor Lorenz says she felt joy after the murder of the United Healthcare CEO, and there was a lot of pushback on this. She kind of eventually did double down. Maybe it wasn't joy, but I mean, it was very clear. The look on her face said it all. Like, this is a sick person, and luckily they're saying it wasn't for this and for her comments related to this, but she was just fired again from the Washington Post.
Yeah, well, Neutrality in the Twitter chat says, I seen a video of this Luigi kid from high school. He does not look the same. And that's what I mean with the, everybody's got different things here going on with all this. Victoria shout out says that's Pierce.
Yeah, Pierce Morgan. I remembered a second ago. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. But Taylor Lorenz, I mean, is this the same person who accused everybody of raping the air recently? Is that?
Yes, that's her.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And people didn't remember. She didn't say this back during COVID. She said this just the other day, that people not wearing a mask 4 years later after COVID or raping the air. So she's a Looney Tune person. But the fact that there is a wing of, well, not a wing, probably close to the majority now of the left really believes that anyone who is a CEO of a company or whatever is an evil person and needs to be taken out. Like it is turning into a form of a religion, in my opinion, as to their views and how radical they are on this, because there's a lot of other people who, I'm telling you right now, they might not get on national TV and say what Taylor just said, but they agree wholeheartedly. Well, this guy was just some CEO making millions of dollars off the backs of other people. He got what he deserved. That there's a lot of people out there who've been brainwashed into believing that stuff. And it's really sad. This guy was, I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about his insurance company. I don't know any of that. I just know that he was a man walking down. He might have been an evil person in terms of, being focused on money. Doesn't mean anything. And he deserves to be gunned down like a dog the way he was, unless there's something else going on. We know he was working with Nancy Pelosi and stuff like that from videos that have surfaced as well. But he's a father. He's a husband. He has a family. And, to kill someone especially over money and over, you feel like they're just making too much money, or to cheer on the assassination of someone just because you believe that they make too much money, that is truly being radicalized by the left in what they believe in terms of, and that's what they believe. They, the Bernie Sanders movement really kind of started a lot of that as well. They want socialism in this country, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and they're willing to kill for it. And let's keep in mind who Taylor Lorenz is too. This is the same person that doxed Libs at TikTok, and then literally went interviews crying about it afterwards because people were mean to her because she doxed another person. So, this person's totally inconsistent. She's probably just off her meds again, and that's why we've seen a couple of these outbursts from her lately. But, like I said, at least there is some justice in that she won't have she's been deplatformed from the paper she worked for and won't be able to spew this evil nonsense, toxic venom. Guys, we got to take a quick break. Hear from one of our sponsors.
I can make one quick comment, Mike. Taylor Lorenz followed the kid on social media as well.
I wonder if that was before or afterwards, because
from what we understand, before she followed this kid, which is really, once again,
that's interesting.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. So just want to throw it out there because I know we're probably switching gears after the break, so I wanted to get that in there real quick.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and it's interesting too. There was another story I didn't grab about how this kid, since he's been identified, has picked up like close to 1 million followers, and all these leftists are jumping behind him. Yeah. But again, that shows you who they are. This is who their heroes are. Guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with even more.
Hey folks, it's your buddy John Rich here, and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's filling up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And the best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. You can do that by going to patriot.tv, selecting the Insurrection, and then going to the sponsor list. And that way we get some credit for it too. And again, if you're still banking with these big monster mega banks that hate you and deplatform us on a regular basis, it's time to make a change. We have the power. We've all vote with our wallets. We can prevent these leftist companies from continuing their mission. We can bring them back to being nonpartisan, and we can also prop up some companies that are behind us, change the dynamics. But yeah, in addition to cry bullies, murderers in New York, we also have the Biden regime trying to sabotage us once again. So we're learning now that Biden gave Iran another $10 billion in sanction relief just days after Trump won the election. And who wonders if this might have something to do with things in Syria? Maybe they rerouted some of that money and sunk it into overthrowing Assad.
Unbelievable, man. Well, quick shout out. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Eats Only Meats, Pita Chips, and Feller Buncher Chief over here in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Look, at this point, man, I know a lot of people are excited to see Joe Biden step down out of the White House. That's not good enough for me. With all the things he's doing, I want to see Joe Biden dragged out of there in handcuffs with the whole world watching, because this man is doing all kinds of crimes right now, and actually crimes against our country. I would argue that some of the things he's doing right now are treason, or at least borderline treasonous to the United States of America. He needs dragged out of that Oval Office in handcuffs with the whole world watching, and that would make me happy.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think a lot of these things are treasonous now, where he's setting these landmines, these traps for President Trump that make things worse for our nation and the world. There is no reason at all for him to be moving forward with a lot of this activity, whether it's continuing to fund the war in Ukraine, giving more money to Iran to fund terrorism with, or some of the landmines he set up financially, or flooding having the EPA send out billions of dollars in grant money before Trump can do anything about it, or the deal that was cut with the remote workers for Social Security. 42,000 people. I mean, these are just throwing wrenches in something that the people want, and the ones that involve enemies of America. I mean, these are clearly treasonous actions. I don't really see another way to look at it. And let's actually take this a step further. So the Biden-Harris administration may reward the Syrian rebels, like the Houthis, by removing the terrorist label. So these are the same groups of people that were literally just shooting at U.S. aircraft carrier and merchant vessels, European merchant vessels as well, in the Middle East, that are attacking Israel, attacking our allies. But we're instead rewarding them by taking them off the terror watch list. I mean, I'm sure we're going to find out here in a few weeks that at least one or more of these groups was funded by the CIA.
Well, we have to remember, everything to do with this all started with a fake birth certificate from Hawaii. We are witnessing the end of Obama's third term right now. That's exactly what this is. These are the exact same plays and stuff that he was doing. We all know that Biden is not making any decisions right now. He can't even choose which ice cream he wants at this point. That's how mentally gone he is. So he's not making these decisions. Someone behind the scenes is making these decisions. I believe it's Obama. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people have other ideas. But this, especially him being a lame duck at this point between now and Inauguration Day. This is treasonous, man. It absolutely is. They are trying to cause global chaos as much as possible to try to hurt not only President Trump, but it's hurting the United States of America. But their hatred for President Trump, they don't care that it hurts the United States of America in the process, as long as it hurts President Trump. And they're trying to do everything they can to keep on track towards their globalist world order, because Trump threw it off the first time when he beat Hillary Clinton. They were not expecting that. And to be honest with you, I don't think they expected Trump to win this time. And if they did, it wasn't until like the last month or so before the election before they accepted that as a real possibility, which is why they attempted to assassinate him. Up till that point, I don't believe they thought he had a shot, and they didn't really think about it. And now here they are back to dealing with that, and they're trying to do, speed all this up and do as much as they can to keep things on track over the next few months.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And real quick, I want to show you guys exactly who we're dealing with over here in Syria. Got a couple of videos to play for you. This first is these Syrian rebels rounding up Christians.
يلا عوي 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 حي الله الشيخ ابو حاتم طلي طلي قاقي قاقي مثل الدجاجه قاقي 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 قاقي.
And it's disgusting. And now, and I've got one more video here. Let me cue this up real quick. So give me a second. Because it isn't just the Christians in Syria who are now going to have a greatly diminished lives that are going to be hunted and targeted. I don't know if we know who this person is or why this is happening. But yeah, let me just go to the video's not playing. Well, that's what happens when we try to do this live. We had a second video of them hanging some poor guy off a crane. And again, these are the people that Biden's getting ready to take off the terror watch list.
Yeah, and you guys, a lot of you guys are watching on Twitter right now. I know you can go to my Twitter later and see that video that we were trying to play of the guy getting hung. And this is sad. This is what's coming to America if we don't do something here soon on this. These people are here as well. They hate Christians. And this is everything you just saw there is coming to a Christian city near you if something is not done about this. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get a lot of hate from Media Matters and all these left wing. I don't really care. When we start the mass deportations, I hope that we start with the Muslims.
Yeah. Well, it would only be right and justified. And hey, you know what? A lot of the Syrian refugees, they left because of the conflict and Assad and all that. So now that's resolved. So shouldn't they be returning home? Europe? Shouldn't you guys be looking at all these migrants that you took in that are now performing acts of jihad in your streets? Now the excuse to bring them there, the fighting in Syria and across the Middle East, well, that's over with now. Shouldn't they be all be going home? We should be looking at the problem the same way, that all these illegal aliens that flooded our borders from Syria saying they were trying to escape the conflict there, well, it's over, so I guess time to send them home, right?
Absolutely. Well, quick shout out to Austin Coldcracker and Spencer in the Twitter chats as well. And then Ramchild and then T Boney. So appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here today on Twitter. Man, this is so sad though. I mean, we were talking off air, Mike, in America, Christians as a whole, I'm not talking about everybody, I'm a Christian, but as a whole, Christians in America are so soft. Like we can't even get people to show up to a school board meeting when they're letting boys in the little girls' bathrooms to do something about it. We can't even get anybody to speak out on those issues. They're murdering, taking our tax dollars and sexually mutilating children. And people continue to not only stand by quietly, but a lot of people are voting for it out of compassion or whatever. Same with murder. I'm wearing my pro-life shirt right now. With abortion, they're taking our tax dollars and paying for these stuff. And then you can't even get Christians to do that because a lot of them, I went to the church and said, hey, come out here and stand with us. And, man, we can't get involved in politics. People will think differently of us or whatever. But here you have Christians in other countries who are told if you do this, you're going to get your head cut off. They're going to kill you. They're going to hang you. And they are still going through and worshiping. They're taking that risk. They're taking that chance. And then you have Christians in America who are afraid that somebody might say something bad about them. This is pathetic, honestly, at this point. And we need to be honestly, we needed to be doing stuff to help our Christian brothers and sisters in these other countries. And it's not just Syria. I mean, we covered a long time ago, was it Nigeria, I believe it was, Mike, as well, that we're dealing with that. And so this is happening all over the world over there. People here in America, myself included, we live in this bubble. We don't realize how good we really have it to live in a Christian country and a country where, quite frankly, you can practice any religion as long as it's not, hurting other people or whatever. And we take that for granted. And these other people in these other countries are making the ultimate sacrifice to read a Bible or to practice Christianity.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Assad definitely wasn't like a good guy or anything like that, but he did care about the people in his country, and he did protect the Christians from harassment from the Muslim majority there. And this is part of why Russia got involved there originally, was to help protect them from ISIS and from rebels. But yeah, unfortunately, like Christians here, they have this misguided idea that for some reason they're supposed to be like human doormats and just let whoever walk all over them. And that isn't what God means in the Bible by, turn the other cheek. We're not like, yeah, you're supposed to like be nice to everybody till you have a good reason not to be. And a good reason not to be is, threatening your life or destroying you or forcing you to convert to another religion. You've got to take a stand at some point. It doesn't mean you need to go out and be the aggressor all the time, but even sometimes that's called for. When you see evil, letting it stand is different than participating in it. So we have to speak up to stop these things. But unfortunately, too many people here are now just spineless and will not take a stand. Let me go ahead and pull our next story because it does kind of tie into this in an abstract way. Team Trump preps executive order to end birthright citizenship on day one. This is brilliant, and our media is already just completely melting down because of this.
Well, it should. And really quick, I want to give a shout out to Civic Crosses over here, MJ Smith. And then Best says that Nigerian Christian sacrifices are underrated, and they really are. So I'm glad you said that, and hopefully people can look that up. But look, President Trump, as you said, has the media in an uproar right now over over this. But it's the right thing to do. We've turned into like a birthing tourism place where people are, hey, you're 8 months pregnant, go to America really quick and have your baby, and then you can stay there too because they won't even deport you because you have a child there who is a citizen, and even though you're there illegally. So I'm sorry, but the time for patty cake on this issue is over with. We gave these people an inch for years, and they took mile after mile after mile, and it's time to start being very stern with this, which President Trump is and Tom Homan is. And President Trump also doubled down on what Tom Homan had said earlier during that interview that came out, I think it was Meet the Press over the weekend, where they asked him about deporting families, and he said, well, they got two options. The people who are here illegally can leave, or the people who are here legally can leave with the illegal part of the family because they all have to go. That's your option. And I'm glad to hear him continue saying that.
Yeah, the media freak out over this. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's just hilarious. Where you had somebody on CNN yesterday claiming that if Trump does this, then that means they're going to start deporting minorities and their children because when they're born, they won't be citizens anymore. They're just going to throw them out of the country. Basically, just trying to fearmonger any way they can with just absurd nonsense that nobody's talking about. If you're a U.S. citizen, you're not going to be in any danger of being deported. That including if you're a naturalized U.S. citizen. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this wave of invaders and people that have been here illegally for years and years, abusing our system. This is the only way our country can move forward. We can't, the social welfare costs, the damage it's doing to communities, it's all become a price it's too high to pay, and it's time to end all of it. And unfortunately, we're going to have to do that with mass deportations.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's a good use of our tax dollars. I'm perfectly fine with my tax dollars going to be used for the mass deportations in this country. I hope that people are aware. Okay. I want people to fully understand this. If we do push for this and this does happen, there will be some chaos in this country. There will be a period of time where it is very chaotic. It might even be dangerous. I hope people understand that. I mean, we're talking about gangbangers. We're talking about, vicious criminals who've been released from these Venezuelan prisons who are here that they know their fate if they get sent back. They were told that before they left. And we have a group of what I believe would be, I don't even want to say radical Muslims because I think that's an oxymoron. We have a group of Muslims here who, quite frankly, hate us. And I don't believe they're here to have peace. I think they're here to try to conquer us. And so there's going to be some turmoil here. There's going to be some bloodshed, I believe, on this. And I hope people are prepared for that. And I hope that people can stay strong and be okay with that if that happens. Because some of these people are not going to go peacefully. Some of these people are going to fight back. But I think that is important to continue pushing through regardless. For the long-term health and security of this country, we're going to have to get through that phase. And I hope that people are understanding that that's possible. I hope that I'm wrong. But I do think it's important to have that tough conversation up front so people are aware that this is a real possibility that happens. These cartels, they're going to be organized. They're already taking over apartment buildings in different places. They're taking over, territory. They're not going to I don't think they're just going to say, okay, we'll leave. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's important that we still push through and do it for the long-term health and security of our country.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know we're going to see violence, and hopefully that emboldens people in the U.S. that when these illegal aliens and these invaders respond with violence, hopefully it emboldens us to fight back harder and to continue with the deportation effort instead of caving in to terrorism and bending a knee to them. And this is a story to kind of illustrate, who we're dealing with. Here in Springfield, 180 dead. Haitian warlord orders massacre of elderly for using sorcery to sicken his son. So, I mean, this is third world mentality, third world people doing third world stuff, and we don't need that here. These are the kind of things that happen in these countries, and unfortunately, when we unlock the gates, let 30 million people in with mentalities like this, it is only a matter of time till we see, maybe not something like this, maybe not 180 dead, but we are going to see other crimes. We've already seen honor killings and other things, and numerous murders from these invaders. And, our good friend Terry Newsom, he just broke a story in Chicago last week that we covered about these assassins from Tren de la Agua are now killing other gang members in Chicago. So they're getting ready to start a war up there. And again, this is what we need to eliminate.
Absolutely. Quick shout out to Kelly Song in the Rumble chat, Dan Dreher for coming back, and then Lewis Clark in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you. And Feller Buncher Chief brings up a good point when talking about the violence. He said, it's that way now, brother. Let's get them out because they are killing and harming citizens now. So that's a great point. They're already doing those things. The difference is we're not fighting back. But Mike, I'm sorry. Must have missed this. Is this happened in Ohio where they recently 180 people were dead?
No, this was in Haiti. Some warlord down there.
But it's the
I just brought it up.
Okay.
Yeah, because we got 20,000 of them, and, less than 20 miles from where I'm sitting right now. And,
cats and the dog.
Yeah, eating cats and dogs, stealing cars. Luckily no murder sprees yet, but there have been plenty of vehicular homicides, like I mentioned before. Like when Ben and I were up there, when Ben Berkholm and I were up there a few months ago, we heard one of these car crashes they keep talking about. This 4 dudes in a big pickup truck basically they ran a red light, basically ran over the front end of another car. It's 4 Haitian guys that just weren't paying attention. They don't know how to drive. Most of them haven't had driver's license before. They're having a real problem in Springfield with somebody else going in, taking the test for their driver's license, passing, and then they send in person B to go in and actually get the license. Basically, they're paying somebody to go pass for them. Then they're getting out on the road. They don't know what they're doing, and they've caused numerous traffic fatalities. And again, it's a big pocket of people. The same thing's going to be happening in Cincinnati and other places where they've just flooded people in from the third world that aren't working, don't know how to participate in a modern society like this, and instead are turning to crime and violence to get things that they want.
Yeah, well, and really quick, I know we're going to get a break in just a second, but explain to everybody how, the driving situation is not only a safety issue, but from what I understand, the insurance rates up there have just gone through the roof because of all the accidents up there. I've saw videos of people talking about it. I know you live in that area. Can you kind of just briefly explain to everybody the cost in that regard?
Yeah, a couple months ago, my insurance went up by over 60% in 1 month. And I've never been at fault for an accident. I haven't had a ticket in years. I have a clean driving record, no points, no anything right now. And then I got a 60% increase to my bill because of all the traffic accidents and everything else the Haitians are causing right now. And again, we can pretend it's something else, but everybody knows that's exactly what the problem is. It's all coming from one area, one group of people that were flooded here illegally by the corrupt Biden regime. And yeah, you're right. We got to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to be right back with even more.
Hey, Patriot TV fans, feel like there's nothing on the radio for like-minded, intelligent people like yourself? Well, great news. Now you can stream Patriot TV on TuneIn during your drive to or from work. Whether you're stuck in traffic or cruising down the highway, you can catch every conversation from your favorite show hosts right in your car. No more mindless jibber-jabber. Tune in 24/7 on the road, at the gym, or wherever you are. Download the free TuneIn app now on Apple, Android, or your computer and never miss a beat. Patriot TV, now on TuneIn.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I want everyone to know that I stand fully behind Beverly Hills Precious Metals and its owner, Andrew Sorcini. We are facing one of the greatest periods of financial uncertainty in both American and world history. And so now is the time to organize your finances. With the advent of the BRICS pay system, we need to now seriously consider how we can take better care of ourselves and our families and start some serious decision making when it comes to our wealth. You can also ask about their newest 2-ounce coin of yours truly. It's an absolutely great gift, and I am deeply honored to be part of history, as well as helping people protect their finances, their wealth, and their investments. So visit gold.generalflynn.com. Tell them the General sent you. Thank you so very much. God bless you, and God bless America.
Guys, that's gold.generalflynn.com. The best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. And again, you want to protect your assets, invest for your future. Go with a company like Beverly Hills Precious Metal that supports your values and supports America. Let's go ahead and jump into these next couple stories. We got limited time left. Lavrov warns Europe that the new Cold War is turning hot. And Trump tells Putin to agree to immediate ceasefire in Ukraine after Syria's Assad ousted. And because a lot of people believe that part of why Assad was ousted and ousted so fast was because Russia's limited capabilities to continue supporting multi-front wars down there, that they're too tied up in Ukraine. And Trump trying to leverage this for a peace deal ahead of time before he's even in office in Ukraine, I think is a brilliant move.
It is, but it's so hard if you're Putin, and I know I'm gonna be labeled a Putin sympathizer or whatever these people want to say, but like if you're Putin, it's hard to do that when the Ukraine with America, with Europe, continuing to escalate things as much as possible, continuing to take it a step further, and then that didn't kind of poke Putin enough into escalating things, so they take it a step further and they take it a step further, and so it's difficult for him in that regard, I think, anyways. And I think that the main reason he's holding back right now and kind of being reserved and everything is because he knows there's a lot at the end of the tunnel. He knows that Trump is coming in. I think if Harris had won and if they were doing these things right now with the Harris administration coming in, I think that Putin would have ramped things up pretty drastically at this point. But I think that he's holding back because of he knows that Trump is coming in to take over. And props to Trump for already, he's already working for us. He's not even in office yet. He's already said also that he's going to not take a paycheck once again over the next 4 years. He didn't take a paycheck the first 4 years. He's one of the few presidents, probably the only president who's ever lost money while serving in the White House. And here he is already not even sworn in, and he's already working for us for free once again to try to save our country and to push global peace.
Yeah, because it isn't just here, obviously. Trump's told Hamas they better release these hostages before he's inaugurated, or there's going to be serious consequences. And this is the kind of person that we need leading America, somebody that will be strong when necessary and isn't afraid to drop 20,000 pounds of justice onto enemies of America if they're taking hostages or acting against our interest or the interest of our allies. So, the world sees what's coming, but unfortunately, these globalists in the deep state continue to push for war and sabotage the peace we could have going into 2025. They're also pushing this disease X. Here comes the disease X outbreak. So this is over in the Congo right now. There's over 400 infected, I think 175 dead. It's a new unknown disease, but and hopefully it stays isolated. They find a way to cure it or treat people. But as of right now, this is something that should be on your radar for when this pops up again soon, especially if it expands outside the Congo.
Well, really quick before talk on that, Thaddeus brings up a good point. Trump must give Putin a way to save face on the way out. And I do think that that's important to bring up ahead of time when they start negotiating these peace deals. People need to be aware that Trump is going to have to give Putin some sort of something to feel like he is saving face on that. And I'm sure the media, whatever that ends up being, our media here in America is going to be like, it's a loss. Trump is a terrible negotiator, blah, blah, blah. That's what's going to come about. Who cares? But I just want to throw it out there. In terms of this, look, I would imagine that the NGOs and the people who hate our country here and the Biden regime are probably looking right now and saying, hey, can we get these people who are infected on a private airplane and bring them to America and go ahead and start spreading it here?
Yeah.
Nothing would surprise me at this point. But yeah, it needs to be on people's radar for sure.
Yeah, he's going to have them register on the CBP1 app, and then they can just fly them right into Atlanta. I'm sure we'll find out that's happened before the end of the year. But yeah, you also had one of Fauci's little confidants, Dr. Oh man, his name's on the tip of my tongue. But he was out there the other day saying that that after the inauguration, we're going to get new strains of COVID and other diseases and blah, 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 basically insinuating that they're going to release biological weapons on the U.S. population after Trump's in office, to harm America and to harm Trump's agenda, just because, the globalists aren't going to get their way, and he's breaking all their toys right now. In funding this insanity at the UN and climate nonsense and everything else, and clean up the deep state through Doge and other avenues. They're freaking out because this is also going to expose a lot of what they've been doing in the background that the American people certainly will not be happy with once the documents are out.
Well, I think that they know that the economy is going to roar under President Trump the way that it did the first time. And you got to remember, these people hate America. And look, when they talk about, when you swear an oath to the Constitution and you swear to protect the U.S. Constitution against both enemies, foreign and domestic, this is exactly what they mean. Are these domestic enemies of the United States Constitution, these people right here, and they would much rather see this country collapse from within so they can roll out their globalist world order. And the way to do that would be to, hurt the economy. And that was the only way they were successfully able to not only hurt the economy under President Trump, but to still the 2020 election from President Trump was with the pandemic under COVID. Luckily, it wasn't nearly as bad as what I think they were hoping it was going to be. I kind of think that all the media hysteria and everything that they were pushing out, I believe that they were hoping it was going to be as bad as what they were ramping it up to be, and it just for whatever reason fizzled out. I don't believe that they made it up and made it. I think that they really was hoping it was going to be that bad. I really do believe that, and so I think that there was going to be something like that pretty similar in the future that could be that devastating and have just total chaos. I mean, talking bodies in the street. Think about if what they said COVID was going to be, if it had really been that, how devastating that would be to our country to lose that many people that fast. That's what they're going to do.
Well, yeah, and the whole world. Well, we also we're getting a better idea now of why Romania just had their election stolen. Now we know why the presidential election results in Romania were canceled. The winning candidate threatened U.S. weapons pipeline to Ukraine. So apparently he was going to stop allowing the shipments through Romania up to Ukraine. Something I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it on air or just in private, but one of the things I was kind of surprised of when I flew into Bucharest was there were a bunch of U.S. cargo planes, U.S. military cargo planes on the runway at their airport. They were segregated out by themselves. We actually saw it as we were leaving the airport, and you could kind of see back behind the fenced area that there were all these C-130s and other planes, and apparently they've been hauling a lot of these weapons in through Romania and then moving them up to Ukraine. This guy said, no mas, no more. We don't want to become a target of Russia. Ukraine doesn't want to send their military in, and they're under a lot of pressure from the European Union and NATO right now to do that, to send troops in to fight alongside the Ukrainians, and that is not in their interest. Not in the least. They've already lived under a Soviet dictatorship before. They don't want to be a target of Russia's aggression once again. And they want the same thing the rest of us do. They want peace, prosperity. They want to rebuild their country and turn it into something great again.
So the Romanian elections cancellation, whatever, is basically a coup by the United States government so they can continue their operations through Romania into Ukraine. Would that be a correct summarization there?
Seems to be, and it's not just the U.S. Wow. It's probably the European Union, NATO, and other people pressuring there. So essentially, the way I understand it, and I could have this a little bit off, but there's sort of a parallel to their Supreme Court. There's what they call a constitutional court there that handles constitutional issues, obviously. And they're saying that this election was invalid because Kalen Georgescu, his influence grew unnaturally fast on TikTok and social media platforms because the message caught fire, especially with the youth in Romania. They're tired. They don't want endless war. They don't want lockdowns. They want freedoms in Romania. And they want to end the corruption there. And that's why they voted for him at around 75%. But now they canceled that election and are stealing it out from under the people, similar to here in other countries.
Unbelievable, man. Well, I mean, they couldn't successfully do another coup here in the United States of America. It's still the election for President Trump, so they're just taking it abroad. And that's what this corrupt government has been doing for years. Either the coups like this or regime change wars, getting us into these endless wars for these regime changes to get the person that they want in there to push their globalist agenda. It's really sad. America needs to mind our own business. We got our own problems here in America to worry about. We got our own border being flooded. We have people in North Carolina and eastern Tennessee who are still suffering right now from Hurricane Helene, sleeping in tents. We're giving billions of dollars to these other countries. We're over sticking our nose in other people's business. We have our own issue. Flint probably still doesn't have water up there in Flint, Michigan, I would imagine. We got all these issues all across our country, and we continue sticking our nose in other people's business. Let's start taking care of our own people. We got homeless veterans on the street. Take care of our own people here in America, and then we can actually discuss if we want to stick our nose in other people's business. I would still not want to do that, but we can have that conversation after we take care of our own people and our own problems first.
Yeah, like to a certain extent, I understand when we push for regime change in countries where they're hostile to the United States. But this would clearly be good for Romania, good for Europe, and good for the United States. This would be a positive move, right word for their country, and that's why we're standing in the way. I am trying to get the party leader from AUR on with us maybe Thursday or Friday, at least briefly. George Simeon, spent a lot of time with him in Romania, and we'll see if we can get him or one of the other officials from AUR on to talk about this in greater detail later in the week. But I want to end on a good note today. Breaking news: FBI Director Christopher Wray to resign because he doesn't want to get fired by Trump. Well, thank you for clearing the path to cleaning out the corruption at the FBI and making it that much easier for Kash Patel to be placed there as director.
Well, they first attempted, I know we're almost out of time, they attempted to kind of bully and say that, well, he's got a 10-year term, they can't do that, blah, blah, blah. They were trying to bully all this stuff. And I think that they finally have realized that, this second Trump administration is not going to be bullied or duped by the deep state. Trump learned so much in his first term. He's surrounding himself with much better people this go around, and he's not going to allow them to influence this incoming administration, which is awesome news for all of us. And so that is why we heard that news. And then last shout out here to Thaddeus and Best said great topics today, guys. So appreciate the feedback from you guys on the show. We really do.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, it looks like the deal making behind the scenes, and again, this is why we're seeing the media flip out more and more, is it looks like Trump may get all his nominees through, including Hedgeseth now. But yeah, guys, unfortunately, we are out of time. But thank you for staying with us. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can grow the show and bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. If you're watching on Patriot TV, stay tuned for the Hannah Faulkner Show. She is up next, and we'll be back again tomorrow with even more.